Weekly Renewal is brought to you by Calvo Select Care.
Half a day, I'm Claire Calvo, bringing you your weekly renewal. As we segue out of May and into June, we have gone from Mental Health Awareness Month to June, which is PTSD Awareness Month. And who better to have on the show than a therapist? I'm here with my good friend, Rosemarie Camacho. Half a day.
Half a day.
So first, just share with our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Rosemarie Camacho. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, certified substance abuse counselor. I've been licensed to providing mental health services to the community for probably about 25 years now.
Wow.
And working primarily with trauma recovery, with combat veterans, survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence.
Today, we're going to speak specifically about PTSD. And if you could break it down, because I think most times when people hear that, they think it's only applicable to combat soldiers. Mm-hmm. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Sure. So I just also want to state that the information that I provide and my views are from my experience and in my role as a licensed mental health counselor, and don't necessarily reflect the views of any of the agencies that I work for, like the Guam Army National Guard, the Guam Vet Center, and the Healing Hearts Crisis Center. So I'm here just as a licensed mental health counselor, just needed to put that out. But yeah, post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health disorder that is characterized by, first of all, a traumatic event. Mm-hmm. So usually a fear of death, so life-threatening, threat of serious injury or sexual trauma or sexual violence, and then characterized by specific symptoms that impair a person's everyday functioning in multiple areas of their life. Some of the symptoms can include intrusive memories or nightmares. So intrusive memories are just memories that you keep trying to forget, but that they keep coming back. Really going out of your way to avoid certain things that remind you of the traumatic event. What really helps to distinguish between having a reaction and possibly having all of the criteria for a diagnosis of PTSD is how much does this impair in your everyday functioning, in your ability to work, interact with your family, be part of the community out and enjoy the things that you used to enjoy prior to the traumatic event.
So just living a functional life.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier about intrusive memory. What about the opposite of not remembering blocks of a time in your life?
So sometimes when there's a traumatic event, let's say, for example, childhood sexual abuse, forgetting can become a coping skill that then becomes overused. And so we call maladaptive, right? And so sometimes when a traumatic event happens during a period of our life, the person will block out like that entire chapter, including some of the good things that happened. Like maybe they don't remember who their classmates were at the time, or certain other things that are not necessarily traumatic, but they've just become really good at blocking out that entire period of their life.
Right. I don't think it's as much as it used to be as far as the stigma and kind of a taboo about going to see a therapist or a counselor. Do you think that there's still a bit of that locally?
I think there is. I think certainly, unfortunately, with, like, for example, sexual abuse, it's actually more likely to happen in families than it is for us to be victimized by a stranger.
Yeah.
And so, of course, with the, it's not unique to Guam, but especially in Guam, where, it's a small, closed community, and there's, family pride, and the family becomes the priority. The needs and the protecting the family becomes the primary value, over my individual needs. So it can be very, very difficult for a victim who's certainly a child or an adolescent, but even as an adult, to disclose what had happened to them if it was by a family member or a trusted friend of the family.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we close?
No, just thank you for having me, for all that you do to help people feel better.
Thank you for doing the same. And thank you all. I'll see you next time on your weekly renewal.
Weekly Renewal is brought to you by Calvo Select Care.